Mikee P back in the Money Players podcast. I have the Sunday Sunset 6 show this week, and Jackson Muniz with me. Definitely always plugged in to these Gulfstream and Santa Anita races. Jackson, what's up?
Not much, Mikey. Always happy to join you. And yeah, it's this last couple of weeks of Gulfstream has been better than it's been for me at Gulfstream in a long time. So hopefully we can keep that momentum going a little bit.
And we talked last Sunday to Chris Couples, our good friend who won the Pegasus contest last week. So, one more shout out to Chris. Obviously very excited for him and his nice contest score last week. But Chris was right back at it the next day, firing away again. And I'm sure he will be this weekend as well. We have the last 3 races at Gulfstream, the last 3 races at Santa Anita for this Sunset 6 for Sunday. We'll see about carryovers. We're not sure. We're recording this on Friday to get it out there to the world, but there's been lots of carryovers in these Sunset 6 pools. Sunday at Gulfstream, February the 1st, race 7, 3:19 Eastern time. Dollar pick 6, retail only, of course, and that's why we like these bets, Jackson. On the grass, we have 2 lifers here, mount a 16th, and here we are. In a race, I think that you can go pretty skinny in. I'm curious how you're going to kick this off.
Yeah, this was a difficult race for sure, and I am going to end up going pretty skinny in this spot. I went to the 4 Yankee Drummer in this race. It just felt like as I went to this field, there's just not a lot of speed, and I at least know this horse will be somewhat forwardly placed. And I think if he runs back to that most recent effort on New Year's Day, that was a good effort where he was a little bit wide throughout. Got the lead turning for home and just got a little too tired late. Maybe the wide trip kind of took its toll, and that's what got him beaten there. But look, if he runs back to that number, he's supposed to be a handful against this group. And I know he's drawn a lot better today than he was last time. So I'm going to probably try to press him up quite a bit in this spot. The only other alternative I thought about looking at was towards the very inside. Cognoscenti, I believe is how you say it, who's another horse that drew better than he did last time. And in his most recent race, he had a little bit of trouble in the lane. Never really had, it wasn't like huge trouble, but he never had clear sailing, I think, and that might have cost him a position or 2 in the final standing. So I think with the inside post, jockey upgraded Tyler Gaffleone, he's one you could work on your tickets as well.
Yeah, new barn there, new jockey, inside post, things to like with the 1. I went to a different horse, and I'm curious to see your thoughts on this one at least, and that was Pair Surprise, the 6 in here. It's IRAD for Nolan Ramsey, who also has the 1 in here. But I liked that race last time. The dates on this horse aren't great, but did break the maiden at Ellis in July. So that was encouraging. And then showed up for $50,000 on December the 18th. And if you watch the race and watch the trip, really this horse didn't have much of a chance. Was stuck behind a wall for a long time in the race. Now, was on the rail the whole way and did get some opening late to come through and did come through. I thought finished with very good energy in that spot. I think that was a tougher spot than this one. Now you get IRAD. Now you're going to have to pay the IRAD tax here. But I just think that this horse maybe gets that little bit of a drop here. You're going into 2 lifes. They're dropping the tag a little bit. And I do think a better trip is in order. So could be the favorite, but it would be one I think I would be pretty skinny with there. Paris Surprise. Any thoughts on that one there?
Yeah, I definitely looked at that one too, and I would assume he's going to be favored. I think what worried me the most was he seems to have lost his early speed that he showed all summer when he was winning races and running really well. That'd be the one concern for him, is that he finds himself too far back. But if he is able to be tactical again, he's going to be a handful as well.
Race number 8 at Gulfstream here for Sunday. 5.5 furlongs on the synthetic track. And Jackson, I thought there were a couple in here that you could maybe lean on. A lot of them raced against each other there January 9th at Gulfstream over the turf. And I thought the 4 Augustinian was probably, I think, best in that spot. Had to make a move against the wire-to-wire winner in there, and then ended up getting passed late to be 3rd, but has shown speed in the past, has shown the ability to handle synthetic track, and I do think is drawn perfectly. Just needs to be put in the race, and I think will be difficult to handle. The horse right next to that one, Win and Juice, is another Nolan Ramsey charge here. This one drops out of stakes. You get IRAD again. You add Lasix. Faced horses like Lenny Lou, Hey Nene last year, Obliteration. All really nice sprinters there. Was it Monmouth, Kentucky Downs? This one, you get the synthetic track. I do think that you get a little bit of a drop in class, Lasix. I think that there's a try coming here with that one. So one I would probably want to have. And then one next to that one, the 6 Squire would be another one I would probably use it here. Again, plenty of stakes on the resume. Now drops, shortens up, showed ability sprinting last year. I do think the synthetic track should suit with those turf lines. So a little spready, maybe 4 or 5 on the A line, 6 on the B line. Where do you go?
Yeah, on top, I agree. Augustinian. I don't know how you say it. That horse is supposed to be pretty tough to beat. As you mentioned, he made an early move last time into that pace and just got a little tired late. But he's been better on the synthetic in his career. I know he lost at odds on 3 back on this surface, but he lost to Bronze Bullet, who came back and won a stakes race. So it's not like he lost to a bad rival that day. And most importantly, I think he drew outside of all the other main speeds. So he's just going to find himself in a really good position. I guess the one worry I have for him is, he made that move into a really slow pace and really didn't have much kick left in the lane. And that was only going 5 furlongs. So the 5.5 stretch out for me is a little worrisome. So I am going to back up with the number 7, 8. Hang on. I have the wrong number. Squire. The name is Squire. Number 6 Squire in this spot, who, as you mentioned, came out of the same race or ran in the same race earlier this year or early last year in September, going 5 furlongs. And I thought he actually ran okay in there. He was much closer to the pace than some others that also show up in here. Was also really wide in that spot, kind of just ran evenly. So he would be the one I would use from off the pace, but definitely want to press up the 4 a little bit.
Yeah, that's not an easy race there. I think the board's going to tell some tales, especially with some of those comebackers, the droppers. Just an interesting spot, a synthetic surface. Also, straight 3-year-olds there in that state bred allowance race. So we'll see what happens the second leg of the Sunset 6 for Sunday at Gulfstream. I'm going to move to race number 9, and it's the third leg here. Back to the grass, Jackson, and another pretty difficult race. They're going them out. Again, it's these 2 life types, and sometimes these races lend themselves to upsets. Do you think that this race will produce one?
I have no idea. This race I thought was absolutely impossible. We're doing this before more lines are out. I have no idea who's going to get bet in here. So when I find myself in races like this where I think it's really difficult, I like to narrow down to a couple and just hope rather than over spreading in here. So I went to the 3. It would probably be my top pick. That's Mr. Monoclonal, first off the claim for Luis Ramirez. And this is a horse, it's just a little less exposed than everyone else in here. He's coming off a maiden win, off a long layoff when he won last time. I know he got an easy lead in there, but the number came back okay. I'm hoping he can move forward off the bench because a lot of these have just had so many chances, especially at this level. They just keep picking up pieces. This horse still has a little bit upside and does have early speed. So he would be my top pick in here. I'd also go to the outside, Human Desire for Marty Drexler, just a horse that was running well. Running okay up at Woodbine earlier this year, but ran well at Gulfstream last year, I thought. And I think getting back to the grass will be good. He'll be somewhat forwardly placed too. I think what made this race the most difficult for me, at least, was none of these horses really have a late kick. They all kind of have the same style that they want to be in that first or second tier. And I don't know. It feels like a horse that's going to make the front end is going to be very dangerous. I just had no clue who that was going to be.
Yeah, really difficult spot. I agree with your outside look there and Human Desire. I think these Marty Drexler horses have been racing very well so far at the meet. Now you get a drop, you get blinkers, has raced well at this track in the past. I know the turf is a little bit of a question mark for this one, but I do think in the right hands, and you get Gaffleone there. I do think that one is one you need to have on tickets. You mentioned horses that don't have much of a kick in here. I think the 6 Eric Fly could be one that might have a little bit of a kick. In the last 2 starts has been finishing very well in those 2 turf races. Broke the maiden on December the 6th from off the pace, and then last time ended up 4th, but did sort of come from off of it there. The pace was quick. Now there was a claim there. You go to Bo Chapman. Well, this one, that barn is 20% off the claim in the last 15 claims with a positive ROI. And really, this is a 15% trainer. So when I see a stat like that with trainers that excel at certain things, I upgrade. And I do think that this is a horse that, like you said, could be moving late in this spot. So it would be another one that I would want to have on side. And then I looked at the 1 Royal Salute a little bit. I mean, the horse has some speed, blinkers off. I like the breeding. Mario's back, and that race last time on December the 21st, stealing bases was a wire-to-wire job in there and really just popped the gate and never looked back in there. This one chased a long way and ended up beating less than 5 lengths there. Jurisprudence came back to win. A couple horses have come back to win out of that spot. So we'll see. This one might be the best of the best when it comes to speed. We'll see what happens here from this inside post. But really, I thought a tough race, like you mentioned here, the last leg at Gulfstream Sunset 6-4 Sunday. Let's head to Santa Anita now, and the last 3 races there. 6:07 Eastern for the first leg here. And Jackson, this is one of those starter allowance, 62.5 claimer, always wide open races. They're going 5.5. Can you shrink down in this spot? Can we get a little bit of a price in here? What's your thoughts?
I'm going to take a stand in here with the big Chizola. He just seems like the most logical type in this race. And the issue for him over his career lately has been that he's a horse that does his best work on the lead, but he's not exactly the fastest gate horse in the world, which is not a great combo to have. But he does find himself on with an outside post for today's race, and the horse drawn outside of him doesn't have any speed at all. So that's not going to be an issue. He'll be able to break out of the gate, find time to hit his stride and go from there. And I just think he's been running against better horses, especially the most recent race. That was against way tougher field at Santa Anita just a couple of weeks ago. And again, that was a race where he was drawn inside, didn't break the greatest, and then kind of had to take back a little bit and just didn't get the trip that he wants and did not get the trip that he projects to get on Sunday. And if you go back to those races, 2 back, 3 back, 4 back, all those numbers are good enough to win this thing. I just think he's supposed to trip out, and he's going to be a handful if he shows up.
Yeah, that's my top pick also. And Kimura certainly riding well. You get him back here for this one. If you look 2 back, was in a very similar spot, ended up second there, well favored, but didn't have the easiest of trips in there. I would definitely use that one. I could see the 8, Carol's Comic. I know that this horse likes this racetrack, 3 wins and 21 starts. Well, this one only has 4 lifetime wins. Unfortunately, the other one that she did win he cost me a massive pick for last year at Del Mar, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, he paid $90 that day. It was something ridiculous.
50 to 1, something like that. But very capable horse at this level, drops from 10 and gets protected, just occasionally shows up. So that's one you might want to have, probably more as a B type. And I thought the 1 was a little interesting also. Cool Tap Dancer ships in from Turf Paradise. If you look, this horse has raced at Los Al recently at Turf Paradise and just kind of holding her own. It's a 4-year-old filly. Just one that I could see maybe more as an underneath type. Just one that I thought had a chance in a race, maybe if the big 2 didn't fire. But I'd be happy 7-8, maybe just a little bit of 1 if you're looking for an alternative there. Race number 6 on Sunday at Santa Anita. Race 7, we're going to head to 20 claimers. It's straight 3-year-old fillies here, Jackson. They're going 5.5 furlongs here. And I was a strong opinion in this spot here to the 6, Donde Esta Jefe. It's Doug O'Neill. I just think this is a drop. It's a better spot. You add lay 6. Did break the maiden for 20,000 back in September at Los Al at the state bred level. And I just maybe prefer that one to most of the other ones in here. I would think the Jeff Mullins charge right next to that one will certainly take money, but I was a little suspicious of the drop. So we'll see. What say you in this race?
Well, just to keep it with the 5 with the Jeff Mullins horse, I was with you. I was kind of suspicious of the drop, and okay, well, let's go see how she's working. And she went in company with an unraced horse that cost, I think, 60,000, and I thought she was pretty thoroughly beaten in that work. So I don't know how well she's doing coming into this race. Now it's a morning workout. Maybe she's just not a morning work horse, and she can still win. But I got to think she's going to be one of the choices in here. So I'm going to try to beat her in this spot. I agree with you about Donde Esta Jefe. It just seems very logical. A horse that has been running faster and faster with more racing, keeps improving with each and every passing race. And he's just never, or she, I should say, has never got any kind of pace to chase in any of her career starts. I think she might finally get some real pace for the first time in her career, because there's a lot of horses that have early speed, a lot of early gas, and some horses coming out of some low sal races. So they're going to be gunning for the front. It just seems like with the outside draw and the pace the projected race flow, she's supposed to be very difficult to hold off late. So I do want to press her up in this spot. The one horse I'm a little interested in as a backup is Drawn Towards the Rail, Strong Morals for Papa Madramu. There's a lot of buzz about this as much buzz as you can have for $20,000 claimer on debut when she got bet down to 4-5 because she was working really quickly in there and she showed speed and then just hit a wall in that spot. Then came back and showed speed again and won. And they threw to the Wolves against, stakes tries, showed speed and faded again. I wonder if this filly is going to really improve getting Lasix for the first time. And she's going to go from the rail. That's the one way she wins this race. It's a 5.5 furlong race, just full center to the front. And she's going to be a big enough price where I don't mind using her as a backup, but going to be mostly 6s on my tickets in this spot.
Yeah, it was 100-1 last time, but I thought one you could use on tickets. The 8 is a horse that looks very similar on paper. Tiger Lady did end up beating this one first time out there back in August, and then got thrown to the Wolves. Also, really ended up at a 1X and a couple Cowbred Stakes races. We saw this horse raced back on January 17th on the grass, and really, it was only beaten less than 8 lengths in there. This is a much easier spot, and the dirt numbers are just okay. You get an outside post, has maybe that off the pace type of stalking trip, and you get Kimura here also. So another one I thought you probably could use in the race. I'd be 6 and 8, maybe a little 1. I do think that will probably cover you pretty well into the final leg of this Sunset 6 for Sunday. Let's go to that last race. State bred here, 1X, 6 furlongs. Jackson, if you're alive for that $1 Sunset 6, how are we going to get paid?
Yeah, I'm gonna single a 12 in here, Miss Practical for Carla Gaines. And this was a filly that ran on opening day and took a ton of money in there. She was actually favored in this big 13-horse field. And she just did not get a great trip in there. She was drawn towards the inside, was kind of mid-packish. And as they're coming around the turn, she lost at least 3 lengths. I mean, she lost a lot of position. She lost a lot of ground, and she still found a way to regather herself and re-rally down the center of the track, turning for home. And she passed everyone except the eventual winner, who just got a perfect trip. You couldn't have asked for a better trip. But I think as far as Miss Practical goes, given everything that happened in that race, I thought she ran really well in here. And I love that she's drawn outside this time, where she's probably not going to have nearly as much trouble, which I think is a big key, because I don't know if less ground is necessarily good for her. She's cutting back from 6.5 to 6. But as long as she, stays in the clear and can avoid some traffic trouble in this large field, I think she's supposed to be a handful for these.
Agree. I do think she'll be tough and she'll be favored. And the winner that day, too, was a dropper that had an outside post. You mentioned had a perfect trip, was speedy, and just was never going to lose that day. Really had the ultimate run of the race. So I agree on Miss Practical, but she's pretty obvious in here. The only other horse I could see is maybe a backup is would the 8 stay in line. I just think that this one, it's a Ron Ellis dropper that has shown speed in the past. If you look back to the October 18th line versus similar, was a speed win. And this one could be out there again early. Just been too tough the last few times. And faced Magnificat 2 back. That horse is, light years better than these. So I do think maybe could show that same kind of speed here, and could end up getting the jump on Miss Practical, and certainly likes this racetrack. 3 wins in 5 starts. So if you're looking for an alternative to the favorites in the last, maybe the 8 stay in line could be used to finish out that Sunset 6 with Jackson. These Sunset 6 has been very interesting. I do like the fact that you have the Gulfstream and you have Santa Anita races. They're split up, gives you kind of a chance to, ease into a nice multi-leg bet. We've been getting carryovers. There's lots of things to like with the wagering product, and of course, retail only.
Yeah, and I think the biggest key for this, as you said, is it feels like it's been a carryover every single weekend. There's been at least one of these days it's carrying over. So anytime there's added money in the pool, you definitely want to at least take a second look at it, see if it's worth jumping in. And this seems like one where I don't know if it's going to pay huge, but I don't really think you need to put together a huge ticket either to have a decent score. So hopefully Friday or Saturday we can get one of those carryovers, maybe even a double carryover, and bet some money into this pool.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting a lot of Florida and California racing here with all the snow and all the poor weather everywhere else. So handles should be large. Jackson, always good to have you in. And I think we're going to have you for Inner Circle on Saturday and all over In the Money. Catch a gallop out too this weekend. You and Ryan looked at Tampa for Saturday. So if you're interested in Jackson content, you certainly plenty of it out there.
Yep, we covered the Tampa Bay Downs late pick 4 for Saturday. They have a couple good stakes races, so check that out if you get a chance.
We'll see you all next time. Jump in on these pools, the Coast to Coast pick 5, the Sunset 6, and we'll see you next time.